Good morning everyone. I believe you all can see me and I believe the audio and video is clear. Alright friends, just give me one more minute. Okay, I'm live on YouTube also. Perfect, I'm live here also. Those who are viewing my classes in YouTube, I just request you to come to this common chat platform because the classes are happening on multiple YouTube channels. Okay, I believe audio, video, everything is clear. In that case, I believe we should start off now. I'm waiting for a response. Please give me a response that the audio video is clear so I can start off with that session today. So we were doing pricing, am I right? Everything is fine, perfect. Let's start off in that case. Let me just open the pricing questions. No, not this one, this is practice questions. I believe we were following this. 3 is done. Now we were on question number 4, right? I believe we did with 3. Okay. So we are having 3 more questions to complete this chapter. Alright. So let us learn some more concepts, friends. Everyone please take your concept book and write down the next concept heading. New product versus existing product. New versus existing. Alright. Now, in this new versus existing, maybe I will give you an example by taking 2 people in this classroom. Okay. Let us talk about Ashwin and Sanjana. Ashwin is already running a shop where he is selling cutlet. He is selling cutlet for a price of, let us say, 10 rupee. His variable cost is turning out to be 4 rupees. His fixed cost is turning out to be 3 rupees. Alright. So he is actually selling at a profit of how much now, friends? 10 minus 4 is 6, 6 minus 3 is 3 rupees. Why he is doing this is because Ashwin is there in the business from the last 10 years. People know Ashwin, people love the quality of cutlets that Ashwin is actually delivering. Now, suddenly, next to Ashwin's shop, a new shop is coming up which is opened by Sanjana. Sanjana is also selling cutlets, just like Ashwin. Okay. Now she wants to penetrate the market somehow. All right. So if she wants to penetrate the market, what will she do? Will she sell at 10 rupee? No. She will sell at a very very lower price. My question to you is, what is the lowest price at which Sanjana can sell this cutlet? Friends, the lowest price that she would sell would be 4 rupees. How did I get this 4 rupees? The 4 rupees is nothing but the variable cost. Why? Because in times when you introduce a new product and you want to penetrate the market, you would like selling it at the lowest price possible, and here the lowest price is 4 rupee. Why I don't consider the fixed cost is because it is a fixed cost and it will anyways come whether or not I produce. So initially, if you are launching a new product, you would launch it at variable cost, but if you are an experienced fellow, you would like to sell it at variable cost also and fixed cost also. I'll go to a fresh page. New, existing, okay. Minimum selling price. If it is a new product, the minimum selling price would be variable cost only. Minimum selling price, okay. If it's an existing product, you would try to sell minimum variable cost also and fixed cost also. Can you write down this in your books, friends? I'll get some water for myself. I'll be back in a minute. Please write it down. Friends, have you put up till here in your books now? Just write down this also, then I'll give you the whole theory in writing, okay? 1 minute. Alright. Alright friends, alright friends, you can write down below that. In case of a new product, okay, in case of a new product, the minimum selling price is variable cost only, whereas in case of an existing product, the minimum selling price would be variable cost plus fixed cost absorbed. Can you write down this in your books now, friends? Alright friends, everybody is clear with this part? Alright friends, everybody is clear so far? Let's go to the next part now. Let's go to the next part. Okay, so we are done with what is the minimum selling price. Okay. Now write down the next concept heading. Relationship between price and units. Relationship between price and units. Alright friends, have you all given this heading in your books now? Let me explain this part to you. Okay. Friends, we know there is something called as price elasticity. What do you mean by price elasticity? It means, for example, if the price elasticity is, how do I explain? Maybe I'll give you an example of this. Okay, it's the relationship between, price and units. Okay, we normally know that if price in normal circumstances, if price falls down, demand goes up. Am I right? This is the normal scenario. So if the price is falling down by 1 and the demand is going up by 1.5, it is said to have a price elasticity of 1.5. So I'll just give that also over here. Price elasticity of 1.5 would mean for every 1% fall in the price, demand goes up by 1.5. Can you write down this in your books now, friends? Alright friends, I believe you all put up till here in your books now. Okay, so this is a relationship between what? Price and units. Okay, I'll now give you an example for this one. Suppose my selling price for a cutlet is 5 rupees. I'm just taking it as 5 rupees. In this case, assume that nobody will buy the cutlet. But if I reduce the price to 4 rupee, people will buy one cutlet. If I reduce the price to 3 rupee, they will buy two cutlets. If I reduce the price to 2 rupee, they would end up buying 3 cutlets. If I reduce the price to 1 rupee, they end up buying 4 cutlets. Assume this is the whole scenario. Okay. Now, here I can say the price elasticity is 1. For every 1 rupee change in the price, there is a 1 rupee jump in the demand. Okay. Now, if this is the scenario, I would like to say, assume that the variable cost I am taking as 1 rupee for making a cutlet. Variable cost will remain the same. What will be the contribution I will make over here? 4 rupee, 3 rupee, 2 rupee, 1 rupee, and here it will be 0 rupee. Okay. Now, based on this, demand means it's the units that are demanded, right? Can I find out the total contribution? Okay. The total contribution over here turns out to be 4 into 0 will give you 0. 3 into 1 would give you how much? 3. 2 into 2 would give you how much? 4. 1 into 3 would give you 3 and 4 into 0 will give you 0. Can you tell me at what point am I making maximum profit? Can I say this is the point where I am making maximum profit? Right? Can you write down till here in your books now, friends? Friends, I believe everything is clear. If anyone is using the YouTube channel, you can use the chat box link I have shared over here. Maybe I'll put it over here again. It is tarunjagdish.com/chat. tarunjagdish.com/chat. Okay. You just have to use this link to come to the chat box, and any doubts you have, you can ask it over here. Since it is running parallelly on multiple platforms, I will not be able to use the YouTube chats. I will be able to use only the common chat box that we have. Alright friends, I believe you all have put up till here. So I'll write down, okay, the optimum profits, the optimum profits are derived when selling price is 2 and, sorry, selling price is 3 and units is what? 2. Can you write down this in your books now? Alright friends, I believe you have put up with this one also. I will now show you how we can find out the answer using some equations. Okay, the equations what we have to use over here. First I'll give you the equation, then I'll tell you the logic of the equation. First one is MR is equal to A minus 2BQ. This is the first equation. Second one, P is equal to A minus BQ. Just write down these equations. I'll explain the logic of these equations after that. Alright friends, I believe MR is what we call it as marginal revenue. Okay. MC is what we call it as marginal cost. I'll come to all these terminologies. Marginal cost is nothing but it is a variable cost. Okay. P means price. Okay. A means selling price at which my demand is 0. Okay, that is the logic of the word A. And Q means units. B is basically change in units divided by change in price. So for every 1 rupee change in the price, what is the change happening in the units? Now that is what we call it as a price elasticity also. Can you write down this in your books now, friends? Friends, sorry, the other way around. It's change in price divided by change in unit. How much is the change happening in the price for every 1% change in the unit? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books? I will now explain this to you friends. The optimum profits are derived. The optimum profits are derived when the marginal revenue is nearest to marginal cost. You will not understand from a sentence. I'll show you with the numerical thing. First, can you write down this in your books now? Fine, I'll just explain this to you now with numbers. We'll come back over here, you draw it as a fresh table. What I will do is, from this, I will now find out the total revenue. 5 rupees into 0 will give you 0 revenue. 4 into 1 would give you 4 rupees as revenue. Here you get 6 rupees as revenue. Here you get 2 into 3 would again be 6. Am I right? Yes, it will be 2 rupees into 3 units will be again 6. 1 into 4 will be 4. From this total revenue, I can find out the marginal revenue. First one not applicable. Second one, we have an additional revenue of 4. Third one, we have an additional revenue of 2. Next one, additional revenue of 0. Final one, additional revenue of minus 2. Whereas my marginal cost or my variable cost in this question is how much? 1, 1, 1. So here, my additional revenue and additional cost does not match, so I will not consider this one. Additional revenue 4, additional cost is 1. So I make an additional profit of how much over here? 3. I'll give a heading called as additional profit. That turns out to be 3. Here additional revenue is 2, additional cost is 1. So I make an additional profit of how much? 1. After this my additional revenue is 0, additional cost is 1. I make a loss of 1. Then I make a loss of 3. So friends, at this point, I am making additional profits. At this point, I am making additional profits. After this point, I am not making additional profit. Hence, this is the point at which my overall profit will be optimum. Can you write down this in your books now, friends? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your book? Now to get this they use these two equations. Marginal revenue they say can be found using the equation A minus 2BQ and price can be found using the equation A minus BQ. So what I will do now is I'll first put, okay, I'll write down the sentence. Step number 1, optimum profits are derived where MR, I'll put it as equal to MC, where it is nearest to MC. Instead of saying like that, we can't create an equation with nearest to MC. So we create an equation with MR is equal to MC. So here the formula would be A minus 2BQ should be equal to marginal cost. Am I right? A is the price when the selling demand is 0, that is 5 minus 2. Here change in price divided by change in quantity is 1 by 1. Into the quantity is what we need to find out. Should be equal to marginal cost. In my question, what is the variable cost? 1. So if I do a backward working, it will be 5 minus 2q is equal to 1. So 5 minus 1, that is 4, is equal to 2q. Q will be equal to what? 4 divided by 2. I get the answer as 2 units. Just go and check. Do you get exactly the same answer over here which we got using common sense now? That is how this equation helps you to find out at what units your overall profits is maximum. Can you write down this in your books now? Alright friends, everybody is clear so far? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books now? Alright friends, I believe you are clear with this part. Now I go to the second equation. Second equation what we learned is P is equal to A minus BQ. Am I right? P will be equal to A is how much? 5 rupees minus B is 1 minus 1 by 1 into Q we found out over here. How much is Q that we found out over here? 2. So if I do like this, P is equal to 5 minus 2. Do I get the answer as 3? Shall we go and check? Do you get the exact same answer over here also friends? This is how we find out at what units will you make optimum profits. I went a bit slow here friends because this area is a little tricky. Please write this down and understand this. This is the only tough part of pricing. After this we are done with the entire chapter. We have learning curve to be done, which we will do it next. Alright friends, so we are done with this concept also. Shall we start cracking problems now? Okay, let's go to the next one. We have done up to question number 3. Or let's do one thing, let's learn the theory part first because one question is based on theory and then we will do the problems. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll open the theory based PPT. Let us do the theory also. So we are doing this chapter called as pricing. Am I right? Let's learn the theory of pricing now. Alright friends, what we'll do is I'll explain the theory part to you and then along with the theory we will discuss it together also and I'll give you time to write down the short notes. Okay. Now pricing, the first one what we are starting is with the profit maximization model. This is something what we just learned now. We learned that MR is equal to MC, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost and price is found out using the formula A minus BQ. Am I right? Okay, so this part is something what we already learned. Let's not write down this. This is something what we have to learn now. Pricing under different market structure. Friends, what are the different market structure told over here? First one is perfect competition. Second one is monopoly. Third one is monopolistic competition. And last one is oligopoly. So let's write down or draw a chart here. Different market scenario. What is the first one they have told over there? Perfect competition. Right? What is the second one? Second one is monopoly. Third one is turning out to be monopolistic competition. And what is the last one? Oligopoly. We need to understand what these four are. Come on, tell me, you know what is perfect competition, right? In which there are large number of buyers and sellers. A classic example is soap. So many people are there selling soap. So many people are there who are buying soap also. Am I right? What do you mean by monopoly? Very, very limited sellers. Now this normally is not allowed in a democratic country like India. So normally this monopoly goes only for some sectors which are very much safety oriented like defense. You will not find anyone selling guns on the outside shop. They have to be very much secured. That comes under monopoly. So once something comes under monopoly, you can actually charge a huge price for it if it is not for government. Monopolistic competition means, okay, let me read the definition over here. Large number of firms producing similar but not identical product. This is the highlight. Similar but not identical. Friends, CA coaching comes under monopolistic competition. Now, for example, I am taking SCMPE classes. There will be another faculty also taking SCMPE classes. We both are taking the same topic. They are similar, but they are not exactly identical. The style would differ. I hope you are clear with this part. Last one is called as oligopoly, where you have few firms selling identical products. Few firms selling identical products. I think an example of this one would be SIM cards. Everyone does not get the access. Vodafone, Idea, Jio, BSNL. Like this, only a few are there, but they are all selling identical products. Can you draw this chart in your books now, all of you? Yes, Hari, we have not done question 3, is it? We are going to do it. After the theory, we will do question 3 and question 4. We will finish off with this chapter. Okay? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books now? And I'll come back over here now. We'll just go through this theory now. Perfect competition is basically market driven price, where you cannot have any different pricing methodology. Whereas in case of monopoly, it is the seller who determines the prices. Okay, that's because it's one person selling. Whatever he says, everyone will have to provide. Monopolistic competition, there are large number of firms but producing similar but not identical products. Here the profit can be maximized by comparing MC with MR. That's what we just learned right now. You have to check what is the additional revenue you get compare it with the additional cost, and that is how you can close it. Oligopoly, a few firms are selling identical products, okay? They may have the following strategies. What is the first strategy told over here? Predatory pricing. What do you mean by predatory pricing? Kill the price, and that is what Reliance Jio did. They came up with a drastic free for almost 1 year, and after that they started slowly increasing the prices, okay? Other strategies, they may team up with rivals and increase the price. This is what Vodafone did. They were not able to hold back without, against Geo. So they tied up and they tried, killing the Geo market. Cost plus pricing is another method that they might be using. Can you please put this, write down these things in your books now? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books? Can you write down this also in your books now? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books now? Can I go to the next part? Alright. So I believe you are done with oligopoly. Now we go to the next theory part. Let me check if everything is comfortable. Yes. Alright. So let's come to the next theory part now. Different pricing methods. Friends, pricing methods can either be competition based pricing method, cost based pricing methods, or it can be value based pricing methods also. Competition based pricing methods, you have going rate pricing, sealed bid pricing. Okay. Cost based we already have learned. Value based we are having two parts over here. One is a true economic value and the other one is a perceived value. I will explain these things now. Can you draw this chart in your books, all of you? Alright friends, I believe you have put this chart in your books. Let us learn it one by one. First one is competition based. Now in competition based pricing, what we actually do is, there are two types of methods which are used. One is going rate pricing and the other one is called as sealed bid pricing. Okay. Now I can give an example for going rate pricing. All the coaching centers normally follow a going rate pricing. For example, if coaching center A is charging a fees of 10,000 rupees for, let's say, a CA final subject, coaching center B would also charge 10,000. They are not worried about the cost here. They know the person next to me is charging 10,000, I should also be charging 10,000. So what do you mean by going rate pricing? Okay, what is the price going on in the market? What is the price going on in the market? That is the first one. Second one is called as sealed bid pricing. Friends, this is normally what I call it as tender, and this is normally given by government. I'm not sure if you have went for any government audits. Okay, I have an office in Trivandrum which is exclusively focusing on government audits. Government audits are received based on tender. Okay, so how do we get it based on tender? I will explain that part also to you. If you want to get a tender, they will give a news that look, there is a audit is coming of, let's say a statutory audit is coming of a particular company. Okay. Now, when they give the statutory audit of a particular company, they will ask us to quote a price. Whoever quotes the lowest price is the one who gets the tender. That's what they call it as L1. L1 means lowest number one. L2 is lowest number two. Some firms, some government audits, they have a criteria that it should be done by a CA firm with more than 10 years experience. But many do not look for criteria, they only look for the lowest cost. So as a CA, I am quoting, there is other chartered accountants also quoting. Whoever quotes the minimum will get the audit. Can you draw this chart in your books now? Alright friends, everybody's clear with this part. Now we go to the next one, cost-based pricing. Friends, we have already learned the meaning of cost-based pricing. Cost-based pricing is nothing but cost plus profit. Am I right? I hope everybody is clear with what is a cost-based pricing. Okay. Next one we go to value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is called under two methodologies. One is a true economic value and the other one is a perceived value. Now this is a little difficult to explain. True economic value, okay, and the other one is called as a perceived value. Okay. Its true economic value would actually mean the value which is there in reality in the market. Do one thing, can you draw this chart? I will explain these two things with the help of a question. That will be much easier than explaining this through theory. Just draw this chart in your books. Alright friends, I believe you have drawn this chart in your books. Okay, I've got a message from Madhav. Are you going to take everyday morning session or this is only for 2 to 3 days? Madhav, I believe you are watching it on YouTube and that's how we are chatting over here because I'm not accessing the chats on YouTube. This morning session is 6:30 to 9:30, Monday to Thursday and on every Saturdays. Alright, it's 5 days a week, 3 hours, that is 15 hours a week is the plan. This is a demo right now happening for the first 1 week, hence it's streaming on YouTube also. Once the demo gets over, then it will not be streaming on YouTube, but it will be happening on my channel and on the other platforms also, wherein it will be accessible for the remaining and the 100% syllabus will be covered over here. Okay. Any doubts here? Okay, no other doubts here. Let me take the study material now. Give me a minute. I will show you a question. Let's understand this with the help of the question. Pricing. Theory of price, we just learned the theory of price now. Profit maximization model, we learned that maximum marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Pricing under different market structures, we have just learned perfect competition, monopoly, etc. etc. Now we are going to pricing methods, okay, competition, cost and value based. Okay, going rate pricing we learned, sealed bid pricing we learned. Okay, this is what I want to come to. True economic value. Okay, there is a formula also over here. It's not very easy for me to explain this without a proper question. Can you please write down this formula in your books? True economic value is cost of the next best alternative plus value of performance differential. Plus value of performance differential. Alright friends, I believe you have written down this in your books. This example, I would just like you to read through it and understand this example, okay? Once you read, this is the question, this is the answer, just read through it, after which I'll explain this whole part to you and this will actually give you the meaning of what is true economic value, okay? Just go through it, I'll give you 5 minutes time. Friends, shall we do this together now? Alright friends, let's do this together now. So basically this customer wants to buy a system for a single year, okay? He wants to buy a computer which can be used for 2500 hours. There's an operating cost of only 5 rupees for X, but it is 7.5 for the other one. So if you look at the operating cost, you would definitely feel that X is better. Why? Because I'll take a fresh page and just write down particulars. X, Y. Point number A would be total operating cost. Okay. What is the operating cost for X? 5 into 2500 would be 12,500 rupees gone. But for Y it will be 7.5 into 2500, that is 18,750. Okay. So the differential what you get over here is turning out to be how much? Minus how much? 6250. Correct? Apart from this, they say there is a chance that the system will crash. X can crash 10%, Y can crash only 0.5%. Alright? If it crashes, you end up paying 37,500 rupees more, or the 37,500 is already gone. So what we do is we say that 10% chance, and here it is only 0.5% chance. If it goes, you lose the entire money that you have spent on the computer. Am I right? So here if you see, they have told that the cost, they have given it below, that if the cost of a system crash is 1 lakh rupees, is what they are saying. 1 lakh, 10% chance. So I'll just crash cost. If it crashes, here it will be 1 lakh into 10%, that is how much? 10,000 will come. Here it is going to be what? 1 lakh into 0.5%. Only 500 is the amount that will be lost. Alright, so if you look at this differential, 9,500 is turning out to be the differential. So if you look at this, what is the net differential that you are getting over here? Can you tell me? Let's add it up. Do I get the answer as 3250? Okay. So 3250 is the extra cost which you end up paying if you are going for system X when you compare it with system Y. And they have told the price also is given below. You will have to end up buying a new computer for how much? 37,500. So if you add up this also, what is the true economic value that you end up paying over here? 40,750. Can you write down this in your books now? Give a heading, study material problem. It's an example basically. Example page 7.15. Let's put it this way. Alright friends, I hope you have all put up till here in your books now. Okay. Alright friends, so we are done with this one. Now we go to the next one called as perceived value. Okay. Friends, perceived value is a value which is coming in the mind of the customer. Okay, it is a value in the mind of a customer. Okay, now this actually differs from time to time. All right. For example, okay, let us say for example a person who is having all the access to all the food items. All right. If he is going and buying one breakfast for 100 rupees, for him the value might be 100 rupees only. But for a person who is hungry for 3 days, who did not have any food for 3 days, he gets this food for 100 rupees. The real value that he will be having will be worth 500 rupees for the same thing. Perceived value is a value which comes in the mind of the customer and which is actually not the real value. This perceived value will differ from person to person. The same product can have different value for different people. I hope you are clear with this part, friends. So you can just write down perceived value is the value which appears in the mind of the customer. It is different from person to person. Alright. Can you write down this in your books and finish it off? So after that we can go and crack the remaining problems. Alright friends, I believe you have all put up till here in your books. Can I go to the next part now? Okay. I'll go to the next part. So we are done with what is the perceived value and what is the true economic value also. Okay. Now here there is some theory given. Perceived value is the value which the customer understands. Okay. The next heading is recession times. Friends, whenever there is a recession, what should be the price at which you should sell the product? Last year, 2020, all of you have seen COVID. COVID was a time when everything was under recession. Somehow to hold on, you would sell it at lower than the selling price. But whatever be, you should sell it at more than the variable cost because otherwise we will not be able to survive in the market. And if the variable cost is more than the selling price, you go on making heavy losses. Better not to sell only. So during recession times, selling price should be less than the total cost but more than the variable cost. When should you go for pricing below variable cost is the next question. Okay. This can come only in two cases. One is if the products are perishable. Okay, I'll explain this later to you. Can you write down this in your books? Write down the entire slide. Pricing below variable cost, I'll explain to you with examples. Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books? I will now explain to you when and how we do pricing below variable cost. Pricing below variable cost happens in two situations. One, if the item is perishable in nature. Other one is, what have they told over here? Popularize a product. I'll give you one examples each for these two. Perishable in nature, best example is fruits. Assume, we'll take one guy from this class, let's assume Hari is a person who sells bananas. He is bought one banana at, let us say, 5 rupees. Normally he sells his banana at 8 rupees. What is the contribution he gets over there? 3 rupees. Now there is one banana left. No customer is there. Now that banana is about to get spoiled. Once the banana is spoiled, he will not get any money at all. Finally, one customer comes. He comes and tells, I will take this banana, I will give you only 2 rupees. Take it or leave it. What should Hari do now? If he doesn't sell it for 2 rupees, that money is anyways gone. That 5 rupees is anyways gone. He would agree to sell even at 2 rupees if he understands that the banana is going to get completely spoiled. I hope you are clear with this. To popularize a product, the ideal example is Zomato. Zomato, there was an offer in Zomato that if you buy one dosa from a restaurant, you get one dosa free. That is a crazy offer that Zomato gave. Which means if suppose I go to Sharvana Bhavan and I order one dosa on Swiggy, sorry, not on Swiggy, on Zomato, they will deliver 2 dosas to you. Now, the restaurant will not suffer the loss. Sharvana Bhavan will get its money from Zomato. Zomato will pay price for the 2 dosas to the restaurant and get only price of 1 dosa from the customer. So that point, the variable cost of Zomato is more than the selling price. They do this only to penetrate and kill the market. And friends, interestingly, I have put up a video on my YouTube channel also on Zomato versus Swiggy. You would know Zomato is right now valued at $3.9 billion. But the losses, if you see, the loss is almost 2,500 crore. Huge loss because the variable cost is more than the selling price. Investors are putting money with the hope that tomorrow they will make profits out of this. Can you write down this in your books now, friends? Alright friends, have you all put up the clear in your book? So we are done with this part also. Let me check if there are any doubts coming up. No doubts. I'll go to the next one now. Okay. So pricing below variable cost also we have done. Now the new products, you can have the following types of new products. One is called as revolutionary product, other one is called as evolutionary product, third one is called as me too product. Revolutionary product, an example is Apple. Apple came up suddenly with a drastically new phone having a huge price, huge security features, etc. That brought a big revolution in the whole industry. Similarly, WhatsApp. At a time when SMS was popular, an app like WhatsApp suddenly came. It revolutionized the whole thing. Now, after WhatsApp came, in fact, when you go to a mobile shop to buy a phone, people don't ask for an Android phone. The words what they use was, "I want to buy a phone which can support WhatsApp." That was a kind of trend what WhatsApp brought into the industry. Such products are what we call it as revolutionary product. Now, what do you mean by evolutionary product is basically which keeps on evolving. Apple, you start with one model, then you go to the next model, then you go to the next model. They are what we call it as evolutionary product. What do you mean by me too product? Me too product is basically if one product gets successful, there are people who are there to copy that product. Me too comes under that category. After Apple became famous, another phone company called OnePlus have started bringing out phones which is now competing with Apple. The ideology is the same. High price of the phone, excellent features so that people would always love going for that kind of a model. Okay. And if you go for a new product, we can have two types of pricing strategy. Price penetration, price skimming. You already know about this, friends. Price penetration is charging a very low price and then taking it up. Price skimming is charging a very high price and slowly bringing it down. Can you draw this chart in your books now? Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books now? Shall I go to the next part? Okay. Now we go to our next, what's the time now friends? Is it 8:30 by any chance? It's 8 o'clock already, is it? Okay, there's only one more part of the theory left to be done. Let's do it quickly, then I'll give you a break. Friends, it's called as life cycle costing. First, we have to understand what is a product life cycle, okay? Or maybe I'll call it as life cycle costing. I'll explain to you based on product life cycle. Every product goes through 4 stages. First one is called as introduction. Okay. Second phase is called as growth. Third phase is called as maturity. And the last phase is what we call it as a decline phase. I would like to explain this to you with the help of a mobile phone called Nokia. I don't know if you have heard of this. Many of you might have heard of this in 2010 times. Today this is almost extinct. There is no more Nokia that people are buying. Everyone has moved on to many other models. Nokia mobile phone came up in the early 1990s. I think around 1995. Approximately that is the time when Nokia actually came up in the Indian market. Friends, at that time, mobile phones were extremely rare. Everyone only had landline phones. Nokia was the first telephone provider in India, and the phones were, big. They were not like the normal smartphones that you have now. They were big phones with an aerial on top and buttons and everything. 1995, when the phones came up, it was priced extensively. At that time, the prices of Nokia phones were around 10 to 15,000. Now, this I am talking in 1995 terms. That's almost 20 years back. Today, you are getting a high-tech phone for 10,000. So, keeping the inflation and everything, that should be around 40 to 50,000 rupees today's price of a phone. This phone, initially when it came, very few people were buying the phone, and the prices were very high because nobody could afford a mobile phone. At that time, mobile phone was a luxury. Everyone had landlines in their home, and all of them were normally using landlines. As far as a SIM card provider is concerned, there was one SIM card provider called as Escotel. This was one of the first SIM card providers in India, and what they used to do was outgoing calls they used to charge 7 rupees per minute. Incoming calls was 11 rupees per minute. Now this is interesting. So if I call A calls B, A has to pay 7 rupees from his pocket, B has to pay 11 rupees from his pocket. So at that time, normally, if someone has to call, they would prefer calling and not receiving the call because the incoming calls were much more expensive than the outgoing calls. That is how the whole thing started. At the introduction part, there were very less number of buyers, and this phone had a very, very high price. People were not even aware that there are phones like Nokia coming up. But slowly, what happened? The product started reaching to the crowd. So this is the period of 1995 to 2000, which I just now talked about. And this phase is what I call it as the introduction. Then what happened? 2000 to 2005, I could call it as a growth. It can go up to 2008, I feel. It can reach a growth of the Nokia phones. This is the time when Ambani came up with a new phone of Reliance, which was just for 500 rupees. Price penetration. All of a sudden, people started getting realized that phones can be bought. Lot of people bought Reliance, but along with the sales going up for Reliance, people buying Nokia also went up. What they did is Nokia came up with a low-cost model, a model which I think was 3300, 3315. These models had a price of only 2,500 rupees or 3,000 rupees. And at that time, by the time the SIM card companies like Tata Docomo, others came up, which started giving calls at 1 paisa per minute. At that time, 1 paisa per minute was very, very cheap. People started buying, and Nokia started getting extremely famous, and the product started growing to a very, very different level. Alright. Then 2008 to, I must say, around 2012, Nokia reached its peak. It brought in phones like N series. There were phone models like 6600. They were color phones with buttons, but at that time, smartphone wise, these were the number one phones. High price, high demand, and Nokia had almost 95% share in the market. No one could beat Nokia. The market cap 95% share means if you have 100 mobile phones, 95 people will buy Nokia, remaining 5 will buy Motorola, Sony Ericsson was there, and whatever other phones were available. That was the kind of situation in 2008 to 2012. They were the king in the market. That is when one young guy came up with a technology called as WhatsApp. He came with WhatsApp, and the first company he approached was Nokia. He went to Nokia and told that we have a beautiful app. If you install this in your phone, your sales is already high, it will go even further. But Nokia was at its peak. They were very, very proud of themselves. The CEO of Nokia at that time told, we do not take any outside mobile app, we develop our own mobile application. Now when WhatsApp was rejected by Nokia, basically the Android concept was rejected by Nokia, not WhatsApp, Android. WhatsApp is one of the products inside Android. He went to other companies with Android. He started showing it to Motorola, Sony, and all the other companies. All the other companies are having only 5% share. They are desperate. They somehow want to kill Nokia. So beggars are not choosers. Anything new comes up, everyone accepts it. Then all of a sudden there was a revolution. a big change which is happening in the market. Everyone started getting addicted to WhatsApp, and slowly Nokia started losing its share. And that is coming from the period of 2012 to maybe max to max 2015. It started collapsing. Then Nokia came up with its own model of WhatsApp. It did not work. It collapsed further, collapsed further. By the time it was 2015, Nokia's market share was only 5%. And 95% was taken over by all the other things. That is when Nokia went back to the owner of the Android, app, and he asked him that, please, can I have this app? This time the Android fellow told him, I will not give it to small fellows, I will give it only to big fellows. So it's rightly said that karma is a bitch. He got back what he told that day, and that was the end of Nokia. Friends, with this example, I would like to tell you how Nokia from an introduction phase grew, went to the maturity, and then finally declined. Can you draw this chart in your books now, friends? Yes, Gina, break. I'll give it 5 minutes. Alright friends, have you put up till here in your books? Okay, let's just explain this product life cycle to you. Introduction point, you can either have a price skimming strategy or penetration. Nokia did skimming, high prices initially. Then during growth, what will you do? You will reduce the price. Am I right? In maturity, your price will be matching the competitor. It is almost the point. If you reach decline, you have nothing else to do. You have to somehow bring down the prices. But if you talk about penetration pricing model, that's what Jio did. Initially, they will kill the market free. Growth time also, they will not increase the price. maturity, that is now is the maturity time for Geo, they have slightly increased the prices, and once it reaches decline, they may increase or they may stay stagnant. This is how the pricing happens for product life cycle. Can you write down this also in your books? With this, we are done with the theory, after which we'll take a break and crack the remaining problems. Alright friends, have you all put up till here in your books now? Okay, shall we take a break now? So we are done with the theory part. After the break, we will do the practical questions. Alright, so let's take a break, after which we'll continue with the next session. Thank you so much.